Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to focus in on a very important subject, a subject that is often overlooked while you're in school. It's how to increase your chances of getting a job once you graduate. Unfortunately, nowadays, simply having a degree does not guarantee that you are going to even get a job once you graduate. At this point, it's really just the basic barrier to entry. However, there are a lot of things that you can do in order to increase your chances of getting a job post-graduation. Now, before I get into the actual reasons that I think are important and that I think that really helped me get a job once I graduated, I want to talk about something in particular. It's GPA. Now, this is my own opinion, but I just want to say that GPA is not everything, and it does not guarantee getting you a good job once you graduate. Now, to be fair, it can't be taken out of the equation completely, of course, but it's just not as important as you may think. An example will be that I graduated with a 3.35 GPA. For semesters and semesters, I gave myself this bar I had to shoot for, and it was to get cum laude, or 3.4 GPA. If I don't get this GPA, then I suck pretty much. But I think that mindset kind of distracted me from actually learning the material and making decent grades, and it wasn't until I started not focusing on my GPA and focusing in on the subjects more that I actually started to do better. The truth is, I didn't put my GPA on any of my resumes. All of the interviews that I had, not a single one of them asked me about my GPA. So that 3.35 GPA that I killed myself to get, it didn't even really matter. But having a bad GPA does not exclude you. In fact, if you do have a bad GPA, if you graduate with one that's just not as good as you want it to be, you can absolutely elaborate on the life circumstances or anything else that may have happened that influenced you maybe not having the best GPA. Probably the number one way to increase your chances of getting a job once you graduate is to gain experience. Because you know that all of these job postings are entry level, and yet they require you have 2 to 3 years of experience. Like, I'm not really sure I see how that's entry level, but anyways. And so many people right now, more than ever, are going to school to get these degrees. You have to find some way to separate yourself from the rest of the pack, a way to stand out from everyone. And the way you do this is by participating in internships, co-ops, or undergraduate research. Now, I did make another video going into detail of how to get an internship, co-op, or undergraduate research and why it's so beneficial, and I will link that in the description below. But the basic idea is to gain applicable experience in your field or industry. Having on-the-job, real experience working next to other professionals highly increases your marketability. It prepares you to face the responsibilities that you may encounter in the real world, as well as helping you gain confidence in yourself and your own abilities. Not to mention, all the things that you may be learning in school, you can actually apply them. You know what they say, if you don't use it, you lose it. That's very, very true in this case. How many times have you had a class one semester and then the next semester you don't even remember anything you learned? Like, I don't think I remember anything I learned in college. Don't tell my boss that. Getting an intern. Can you stop doing weird things on the camera? You're still doing it. Very lucky that you're cute. Now, getting an internship, a co-op, or doing undergraduate research is also valuable because it gives you a chance to connect to other industry professionals. You know, the elusive term networking. It's a great way to do it. You should totally try it. It's probably the easiest way to network because, I mean, you just get to show up and show your skills and that you're willing to learn. And you learn more than just technical skills. You learn a lot of good soft skills as well, like communication, time management, working on deadlines. And I've had cases where I've been able to write papers and contribute to other works while I was doing my own undergraduate research. Those are great experiences as well. Great things to put on your resume. All right, another way to increase your marketability once you graduate and are starting to look for a job is to volunteer. I like volunteering because it adds a little flavor to your resume. I mean, it doesn't even have to be like to a charity or an organization. It could be to a professor that you really enjoy. They're doing some kind of research at your school and you're really interested in it, and volunteering to help them will absolutely make you stick out in their mind. And eventually they may even offer you a real paid position if you do well. And of course, there's volunteering for your local professional chapters or even the school version of the chapters. I actually had an experience where I decided to volunteer for the local professional chapter. I was a coordinator for a K through 12 paper airplane contest. It was a lot more responsibility than I was expecting, but it was not that fun, to be honest with you. It was very stressful, but I mean, I met some cool people, and I got to put it on my resume. I got to talk about it in a couple of interviews. I mean, it got the job done, I guess. That's a bad way to look at volunteering. It was nice to help people too, of course. Okay, another way to increase your marketability and maximize your chances of getting a job after graduating is to join clubs or organizations at your college. Now, this one I highly recommend, because this, for me personally, impacted me probably the most when it came to actually getting a job. Now, it doesn't have to be some kind of prestigious club. You just gotta find one that's actually active. Some of the clubs that you may have at your college could be very connected to the professional versions of local organizations. This is a great way to build connections with like-minded people, to get involved at different events, even chances to volunteer at those events. Personally, I joined 2 different organizations. One was AIAA, which is American Institute of Astronautics and Aeronautics. Yeah. And another one was something called Matrix. Now, this was very unique to my school. By far the most impactful thing that I was ever a part of at my school. I got to know other students who were transfer students to my college, all going for the same major as me. And I was introduced to a bunch of different professors who then introduced me to the professor that I did my undergraduate research with. I mean, you never know how far these connections will get you. You don't know if they will get you anywhere, but there's always like a seed of something, and that's the idea. You want to plant little seeds of people knowing you and knowing what you're capable of and understanding that you have a lot to offer. Okay, my final point here is school projects. It is highly likely that you will end up doing some form of a school project or senior capstone project or something. These can absolutely go on your resume. I think that these are really important, because oftentimes these projects are done with a team or another group of people, and you can show that you've had chances to work with a team. A lot of times, a really common interview question is, was there someone on your team who you disagreed with, and how did you resolve it? Blah, blah. Having a good story for that question will blow their mind in an interview. I had this exact question in an interview, and I drawed on my experience from a very stubborn team member, and I had an excellently crafted story for that. Now, I think it's very important, if you do list these school projects on your resume, not to write about necessarily what the project was about, but what you specifically did on the project. Okay, another point here is to say that if it's something you're interested in, I highly recommend taking maybe a leadership role if it's offered in the project that you're doing. I actually ended up taking a leadership role in my senior capstone project as chief engineer. That was a big topic of discussion in pretty much all of my interviews. They are very interested in that. The job that I got as an Instrumentation and Controls Engineer working at Marshall, they were very impressed that I did go for a leadership role. They were very interested in people who had that knack or experience with that. That's obviously not for everyone, but if it's something you're interested, I encourage you to try it out while you're in college, while the stakes really aren't that high. Okay, well, that's about all I have. I just want you to remember that it's not all about GPA. There are many different elements that can be added to a resume to increase your chances of getting hired. There are plenty of elements that you can add to a resume to show that you are a very well-rounded individual. I really encourage you to reach out of your comfort zone and try new things. You never know what might stick. You will probably figure out that there are some things you really don't like, but at least you know you tried, and you can move forward from that. Join a team, a club, an organization, volunteer time. Just Take on new responsibilities. Introduce yourself to people at events. You would be extremely surprised how far just one simple introduction or an email to someone can go. Well, anyways, that is all I have for you today. Sorry about my crazy cats. They're a lot. Thanks for listening. I hope you got something out of this, and I will see you next time. Bye.